Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're diving straight into the command line to get tactical. We're going to fortify the single most critical device on your network, that edge router. You know, the gatekeeper, the guardian, the one front door to your entire digital world. So let's get to it. So let me just ask you, right off the bat, is your network's front door unlocked? Because if you haven't actively gone in and taken specific, deliberate steps to secure your router, the answer is probably yes. And honestly, that's a risk none of us can afford to take.
Think about it. Every single bit of data, every connection you make to the outside world, it all funnels through this one device. So you better believe that for an attacker, this is target number one. If they get control of your edge router, they basically control everything. They can see, reroute, or listen in on it all. This isn't just another box on the network. It's your first, and in many ways, your last line of defense.
Okay, so before we start building up our fortress, we need to understand the battlefield. You see, securing a device isn't just one action. It's not a single click. It's a whole strategy that covers three really distinct areas. Let's break those down.
First up, you've got physical security. This is just common sense, right? Keep the device in a locked room. Second, there's operating system security. This means always running the latest stable OS and, of course, having secure backups. But for this explainer, our main focus is on that third area, router hardening. This is where we're going to get our hands dirty in the configuration to shrink that attack surface and make this device as tough as we possibly can.
All right, so that brings us to our very first and, you could argue, most fundamental layer of defense, passwords. They are literally the keys to the kingdom, and our job is to forge them into something unbreakable.
I mean, just look at the difference here. It's night and day, right? The passwords on the left, a simple script could guess those in seconds. Why? Because they use totally predictable patterns. Dictionary words, names, dates. Real strength comes from randomness. It's that mix of letters, numbers, and symbols, even spaces, that has absolutely no personal connection to you.
So where do we actually put these strong passwords? Well, on a Cisco router, there are three absolutely critical entry points. First, the console port. This protects against someone who can physically plug into the device. Second, the enable secret. This is the master key, the one that gets you into privileged mode with full administrative control. And third, you've got the VTY lines. These are the virtual doorways for remote management. We have to lock down all three, no exceptions.
But here's the thing. Having a super strong password doesn't do you any good if it's just sitting there in plain text for anyone to see in the configuration file. That's why this next step is so critical. Check this out. A single command, service password encryption, scrambles every password in the config. It's such a simple fix, but the security payoff is absolutely huge.
Now, here's how we make sure everyone who uses this device plays by the rules. With this one command, we can set a global policy for minimum password length, in this case, 10 characters. It's a simple rule, but it instantly raises the security bar for the whole router. It makes it literally impossible for anyone to get lazy and set a weak 3-character password ever again.
Okay, so we've built a strong door and we've put some really good locks on it. Now it's time to set some traps for anyone who tries to break that door down. We're moving beyond just passive defense and into actively fighting back against login attacks.
And the main threat we're trying to counter here is what's called a brute force attack. You know, this isn't some clever hacker in a dark room. It's a piece of software, a script, just tirelessly hammering away, trying thousands of password combinations a minute. It never gets tired, it never gives up, and it will just keep on going until it finds a way in. Unless, of course, we stop it.
And this is how we stop it. Think of this command as a digital tripwire. What we're telling the router is this. Hey, if you see 3 failed login attempts within a 60-second window, I want you to block all login attempts for 120 seconds, or 2 minutes. This simple rule makes those automated attacks incredibly slow and inefficient. It basically shuts them down cold.
And we're not done yet. We can add a couple more really smart layers here. First, a legal banner. Now, this isn't just for show. It's an actual legal warning that puts any potential attacker on notice that what they're doing is unauthorized. Second, we're going to enable logging for both successful and failed login attempts. This creates a digital paper trail, which is absolutely invaluable for doing any kind of forensic analysis if an incident ever does happen.
So, we've secured the login process itself, but what about the data flowing back and forth during a management session? If you're using an old protocol like Telnet, well, you might as well be shouting your password and all your commands across a crowded room. Everything's in plain text. That's why we have to build an armored tunnel for our traffic using the modern standard Secure Shell, or SSH.
Now, enabling SSH might look like a bunch of steps, but they follow a really logical progression. First, we give the router a unique identity with a hostname and a domain name. Then, we generate the special cryptographic keys that are going to form the backbone of our encrypted tunnel. After that, we create a local user, and then we tell the remote access lines to use that user for login, and, this is the important part, to only speak the language of SSH. It's a clear, straightforward path to truly secure communication.
All right, we've done the work, we've built the walls, and we've set the traps. But a fortress is only as good as its last inspection, right? We have to verify that all of our defenses are actually active and working the way we expect them to. It's all about trust but verify. And one of the most important commands you're going to want to know for this is show IP SSH. This command gives you a quick, clean snapshot of your entire SSH configuration. It confirms the version you're running and tells you, yes, the service is enabled and ready to protect your remote sessions. It's your window into the health of that armored tunnel we just built. So, after all that, let's just step back for a second and look at what we've actually built. We now have a gateway where strong encrypted passwords are required everywhere. We enforce a minimum length so no one can get lazy. We can automatically detect and shut down brute force attacks, and all of our remote management is now funneled to a secure encrypted SSH tunnel. That's pretty solid fortress.
But the work is never really done. Security isn't a one-time setup, it's an ongoing process. It's about vigilance, it's about updates, and it's about adapting to new threats. So yeah, you've made your gateway secure today. The real question I want to leave you with is, what's your plan to keep it secure tomorrow?